And today's video is going to be something I said I'm going to do for a while. But what it is a tractor tour video. So if you don't already know this Massey Ferguson 399 is a very good tractor. Now it is our mainline machine. It is 100 horsepower. It's 4-wheel drive, as you can see, and it spends all winter hooked up to a slurry tanker, and then all summer it spends hooked up to round baler. Well, most of the summer. But it is a 1994 399. See, it's an MReg 1994. This has been our mainline tractor now for 30 years. So 30 years. 1994 it come in, it's now 2024. And it's an 18-speed shift mod. As you can see, 18-speed shift, which basically the gearbox that's in it. My dad and granddad bought this tractor. Probably more my dad. Bought this tractor new in 1994. I think it came about October 1994. The story behind it is they just bought the 2-wheel drive 390, which we've still got, and that come from Burgess's at Bakewell. They're no longer there. Torn Valley is, and Burgess's are no longer a company that deals in farm machinery anymore. It's not in trading, I don't think, anymore. But they just bought that, this 2-wheel drive 390, and when they bought that, they thought what a good tractor it was. So Sharrock's, where this tractor come from, the sticker's still on the bonnet. So Sharrock's, where this tractor come from, had apparently got a 399, a 1989 model, which is the same age as our 2-wheel drive 390. And I think him and my mum, or him and his mum, so my gran, went to look at this 399 because look, the first 300 series had come here, which was a 390, which we've still got, and they were looking at upgrading. I think they had a 699. And they were going to trade the 699 in and have a 399. So I went to look at a second-hand one, which was 5 years old at the time, and they'd got a yard full of brand new ones, all lined up, apparently. And so instead of having a second-hand one, they thought they'll go out, spend that bit extra money, and have a brand new one. And here we are now. It's been a very good tractor to us. Would we ever sell it? No, definitely not. It has never really had any major problems. I think it's had a couple of clutches in it. It's done about 5,000 hours. Done 5,500 hours. We'll have a look in a minute. It's had a couple of clutches in it. Big end went in engine once. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. Basically, I had it sat on the slurry stirrer. I had it running at full pelt, and apparently some of the fuel injectors were on the way out or something. And too much fuel got through to the engine, made it get hot, and a big end went in it. It was basically making a knocking noise, which we don't want. But another interesting fact about this tractor, the 300 series are very popular tractors, very popular. They're very well sought after, especially nowadays. And I think it was about June 1994, they bought out the 18-speed shift gearbox. Now, we'll have a look. The 18-speed shift gearbox compromises of this one gear stick, and on that gear stick, so we'll turn the ignition on, you've got your splitter, so this will make it go up and down. On that splitter, it works off that button there as well, but it works off this button on the gear stick. I do normally use the gear stick one. But it change on the move, so it was basically brought out. I'll put you there. It was brought out in June 1994, and previously Massey Ferguson had a multi-power gearbox that had been very popular, and that was a change on the move gearbox. And that change on the move gearbox, it had its faults. I think if it were in low, it had got no engine braking, and if it were in high, you couldn't change your gear. It locked your gear sticks, so you couldn't change out of first to second or whatever. I think I could well be wrong. Someone wants to correct me, they can do. On the multi-power gearboxes, but I've no experience of them before, and also I think the multi-power gearbox can pack up in them. But anyway, we'll start it back up and put it in the shed. So I pulled it out a bit so you could just see it in daylight, but it sits in this shed here right, all winter with a slurry tanker on, just because it's handy where slurry pit is. But interestingly enough, it was yeah, like I was saying before, it was June 1994 that the 18-speed shift gearbox came out. Now in January 1995, the 300 series had a complete revamp front axle put on them. So it went from, they were coded NG and AG, I think. I can't remember which way around they are, but basically the difference is, the visible difference is the 6-stud front axles. So for years, Massey Ferguson and the four-wheel drive front axles have been 6-stud. But the problem was they hadn't got grease nipples on the wheel bearings, which doesn't affect this tractor so much, but tractors with loaders it was affecting. So I think that 390 we've got with a loader, that's been retrofitted with the grease nipples on the wheel bearings. So basically someone's drilled in, the dealer that supplied it new will have drilled into the bearings and put grease nipples in, so you can grease the bearings basically, because the bearings were wearing out, especially on loader tractors, because of the weight on the loader. You know, you pick a bale of silage up or a pallet or something, or a bucket of muck or whatever, and it's putting pressure on that front axle and does the bearings, and you couldn't grease them. So in January 95 they changed so they had grease nipples on. But the visual difference was they had an 8-stud front axle instead of a 6-stud. So that's how you know the difference. But there wasn't many. There were only like a 6-month period of like 399s and whatever with the 18-speed shift gearbox were a 6-stud front axle. So this makes this tractor a little bit rarer, because there were only a 6-month period where this 399 would have been 399s like this being built. But basically the 18-speed shift gearbox was an optional extra, so you could change on the move. It had 40k as standard, I think, so 40 kilometers an hour speed on it, so good for your road work and what have you. You know, it was an optional extra. The standard was a 12x12 gearbox, which is what our other 390 with the loaders got. We will do a video on each tractor, tour on each tractor, but so that'll be coming up soon. But the 1212 had a shuttle at the side of the gear, side of the steering wheel. Push it forward to go forward and push it back to go backwards. And it had 4 gears on 1 gear stick, no splitter, and it was perfect really for loader work. But I think demand was growing. Like the 3000 series that was out as well at the same time as the 300 series, they'd got Dynashift gearboxes in. The 300 series never had that option, and there was like a demand growing, I think, for more advanced gearboxes. So that's why Massey Ferguson bought out the 18-speed shift gearbox, I think. So you've got more range of gears, change on the move, basically a higher spec gearbox. The only thing I can say that is a significant problem with the 18-speed shift gearbox is the fact that this tractor, a couple of years ago, it was tanking with it, and basically what you do is, now it's in medium range at the minute, the bulb's gone, it should be there, so it should have a letter M to say you're in medium. But what we'll do is take it out of gear, and then you push the gear stick either down, you go up, and then you go into high range. So that's your road range. And you got your first, your second, and your third, and your reverse is forward and back, forward and towards you. And then you go down your range like that. You go down to low range, which is like that. Now there's a spring in that gearbox which operates that changing. So that every time you pull it back, there's a spring in that gearbox which operates the changing of the ranges. The spring went in this gearbox, and the spring costs about, I don't know, £1. To split the tractor to replace that spring, it costs you a good £500 at least minimum in labour, because it's not an easy job to do. So that is the downfall to this gearbox. Well, apart from that, it's been an alright gearbox, touch wood. But other features about this tractor, it has, I'm not sure if you can see that, if I put that, there we go, done 5,445 hours. So that is quite a low hourage, mainly because this tractor just does slurry spreading. Slurry spreading and round baling. Doesn't do much else really throughout the year. It does get used a lot, but the thing is, if you see what it says there, it says hours at 1800 RPM. So that, you need to be revving it right round that to clock 1 hour. So it doesn't clock hours very fast. But yeah, been an alright tractor. What we do have here is, so something quite special about this tractor compared to the other tractors that we've got. Now, it's a bit tatty, but this is the original service book for this tractor. So look, FR Sharrocks, who supplied it new, and they were at Sandbach in Cheshire. What have we got? Annual 500 hour service. So they came on the 31st of May 1997. It had got 500 hours on the clock, and they serviced it. But yeah, it's quite interesting to look back on this. Here we are, 50 hour service. So they come on the 8th of June 1995. So this tractor was 6 months old at the time, and it's got 49 hours on the clock, and they serviced it. Now, I don't think it actually says in here what date it would deliver. Oh, it might be. There we are. Mr. Mellor. Mr. Mellor, Organ Ground Farm on Ashbakewell, Derbyshire. Engine number, cab number, registration number. That was when it was supplied, the model. Doesn't actually say the date. Oh, date of purchase, 30th of November 1994. So that was the date it was purchased, probably the date it arrived. Very interesting to look back on that now. But yeah, it's been a very good tractor. So this tractor came new here in November, 30th of November 1994. They're just very well sought after, these tractors. I like them a lot. One thing I do like about it is you've got your PTO down here, behind the jump, and you got your 1000 there. You change it from 540 to 1000, and then that engages your PTO as well. So all our older tractors don't actually have that. You have to actually change the shaft in the back of the tractor. But yes, it's a good tractor, very good tractor. Never sell this tractor. It's good for what it does. I mean, how many dairy farmers out there that are milking what 180 to 200 cows, and their mainline tractor, top line mainline tractor, biggest tractor in fleet, 30-year-old, and they don't have contractors in to do any major work. But this tractor is doing all the heavy work, slurry spreading and powering the round baler. So I bet there isn't many out there that have got a 30-year-old tractor doing all that work. It'd be very interesting to note as well how many new tractors that supplied new now are actually going to be around in 30 years time, because I don't think there'll be many. Not at all. They're not built to last. These 300 series were built to last, and as you can see from this tractor, it has been a really good tractor. It has not had massive amount of major work done on it. It's had a couple of clutches in it. Clutch went on it once when it was baling about 15 years ago. I think that was the last time the clutch went on it. So 15 years without having a new clutch in. And then before that, I think it was muck spreading. We used to have a shell ball side discharge spreader, so a dual spreader, and I think the clutch went on it then. And this tractor were on it then. But yeah, it's definitely one of a kind. You can see why they're very well sought after. I mean, it's not got much fancy electrics. Probably the fanciest electrics would be on the gearbox. You've got your 4-wheel drive and your diff lock there. Yeah. Draft and position control, your spool valves. That locks your hydraulics, so it makes your hydraulic pump twice as fast, if that makes sense. So if you locked that, you'd have twice as much hydraulic power to operate your machine on the back, or if you had a loader on it, to power your loader twice as fast. You got all your buttons there for your light, front lights, rear lights, front windscreen wiper, rear windscreen wiper, flashing beacon, your fan there. Air conditioning was an option on these, I might add. And then you've got your, obviously, rear windscreen wipers on the back there. And then you've got your electric controls there, which the round baler plugs in. And anything else that would require electronic controls will plug in there. So if we ever had a straw chopper that needed electric controls out like that. Funny enough, when they bought this tractor, they bought it for one main reason, and that was to power a trailed forage harvester. That was what this tractor was bought for originally. Funny enough, we don't make pit silage anymore, so. But that was the reason they bought this tractor. It replaced a 699. And the problem with 699s were, well, the whole 600 series was, they were good tractors, but the cabs were made out of cheap steel on them. And that cheap steel really let them down, because you'd only have to look at 600 series tractors that are about now, and a lot that were in original condition have rotted away. Whereas like the 300 series, all got good steel in them, that's never rotted. Even muck on floor, because I'll be honest, it's a working tractor. you know, muck builds up on floor. It's not rotted floor out in 30 years. But we'll just have a quick look round the back of it. So I'll just point out what I mean about the 6 stud axle. So you've got 6 studs that hold the front wheel on. So a few months after this tractor was actually built, they changed them to 8 stud, which were a bit better front axle. You've got the front mud guards on. All 40k tractors do have mud guards on, I think. Then you've got your back wheels here. But if you can see the date, funny thing about Massey Fergie tractors is the wheels and the cabs were made by a company called GKN Shanky, and I'm not sure if they're still in business now or what, but they made the wheels and the cabs for Massey Fergie tractors. And if you look here, they stamped the date when the wheels were made. So the wheels were made in October 1994. So that's a good indication when to work out how old the tractor is. Unless obviously it's had different wheels put on it. But round the back end, you've got your number plate, your rear windscreen wiper, your lights, wash bottles. There's your spool block here. Trailer braking, very important. All 40k tractors do have to have trailer braking on them. PTO, you've got your guard there, that's all in order. Pick-up hitch, and these are the good thing. I mean, forget the tennis balls, they're brilliant because in the fact that they stop these hydraulic parts getting caught in there. But if you're ever hooking up a mounted implement, them hooks, best thing about, because you can just lift them up and they pick. You can often hook up to things without getting off the tractor, and it's safer as well. But then you've got your Kelvis, your drawbar to Kelvis attachment there, reflectors, got sister rams on this as well, so it can lift. I think the rate of lifting something like 3 ton. Obviously you need weight on the front to weight down, but I think they were optional extra. And then you've got your lever there, so you can operate your link arms from outside the tractor. Well, yeah, if anyone out there is looking at getting a 399 or any 300 series, I'd recommend getting one because they are a good tractor. Oh, we've not really looked at engine, have we? So, engine's a 6-cylinder, straight 6. So, it's a Perkins engine. It was the only 300 series they built with a 6-cylinder engine. All the others had, like you got the 398 and the 390T, which were the 2 models below. They were 4-cylinder turbos. Been next to no problems at all with the engine on this one. I think it was 1989 they changed the engine. So 1986 to 1997, so 11 years that they built the 399 for. And I think from 86 to 89 they had a 699 engine in them, and then they changed them either 89 or 90 or at 91, somewhere around that era. So they went like 4 or 5 years with a 699 engine, and they changed them to the Perkins 6-cylinder Fraser engine, and they are a more reliable engine. I think that's why they changed them. The old 699 engines were getting a bit outdated, so. But yeah, this has been a very good tractor. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. A little tractor tour video. This is a very good tractor. I mean, that tank is 2,250 gallon, and this tractor does bosses. I mean, how many 100 horsepower tractors out there will boss a tank of that size? So we do have the mower sat in front. That's a Kuhn FC 300G mower. I mean, that's some age. Last year it did over 400 acres mowing, that did. and it's a 91, so that's like 30 odd year old. Interestingly enough, we are thinking of maybe getting a new mower for this year. Maybe. So if anyone has any recommendations on a new mower, I'd be interested to hear them. But for now, this is a 399. It's a good workhorse. I will do another video on. I'll do a video on each tractor. Well, each of the mainline tractors anyway. But for now, that's a 399. It's a good tractor. We'll never sell it. It's a very good tractor to us. And if anyone is out there looking at getting a 399, I'd thoroughly recommend going and getting one, because as far as I'm concerned, they'll only go up in money because they are a very reliable tractor. I can't see there'll be many new tractors about now that'll be still about in 30 years time and be as in good condition as this and still do a day's work. I mean, look at the fact we've took on renting some ground and this tractor's carting slurry over a mile. You know how many 30-year-old tractors are doing that? You know what I mean? Look, give it a thumbs up, subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.